Today we're doing rounding whole numbers, so we're going to talk about strategies for rounding whole numbers, then we'll go on to our estimation. So for rounding whole numbers, rounding is understanding if I'm writing, you're writing, okay? So just, I want to make sure that that's clear. If I'm writing up here, you're going to copy down what I write. So rounding is understanding the relationship between the digits and the place value. And guys, these are your notes. I do not care if you write your notes in print or cursive. I just want them to be legible. So write whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you can read best. Rounding it is understanding the relationship between the digits and the place value. Okay, we have a couple of methods for rounding whole numbers. First, we have number line. So this says round 127 to the nearest 10. So I want to round it to the nearest 10. Remember our cubes method that we were working with yesterday? We want to make sure that we box keywords. Nearest 10 is going to be considered a keyword in this problem. So if I'm looking at my numbers, okay, I have 100 here, I have 150 here, I have 200 here. So am I counting by ones, fives, tens, 20s? What am I counting by? Tens, very good. Okay, so I have 110, I have 120, 130, 140, and so on. Now, 127, if I were to plot a point on this number line, where would 127 go?
130.
It would go on 130?
No, beside.
Beside it to the left or beside it to the right?
Left.
To the left. So it's going to go about right here. And is that closer to 120 or 130?
130.
It's closer to 130. So 127 right here is closer to 130. Now, on the next one, it says round 127 to the nearest hundreds. So nearest hundreds is my key word. But what is my number line counting by on this one? Am I counting by ones, fives, tens, 20s, hundreds?
Fives. Tens.
By tens again. So I have 110, 120, 130, 140, and then right there in the middle is 150. So if I'm trying to round 127 to the nearest hundreds, and we've already established, thank you, Shepard, he told us that that dot is going to go just to the left of 130. If I'm comparing to the hundreds, is it closer to 100 or is it closer over here to 200?
100.
Yeah, it's closer to the 100. So 127 is closer to 100. So I would round down to 100. $127 rounds, I'm running out of room, to 100. Now I also have this like road, looks like a car driving up on a hill. So that's just another method that we have here. Try and zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. Thanks. Without twisting it too much. Okay, so on this one, it says stay the same, 5 up at the top and then 10 over on the side. What do you think that means? I'm rounding 17. So what do you think this hill or this road is representing? Anybody know what the 5 represents at the top?
5. Round 5.
It's half of 10. Remember our rule that we said all along? If it's 5 or more, up to score, less than 5, take a dive, or whichever one you learned. So the number 5 is at the top of the hill, okay? This determines if the digit will round up or stay. Is it going to stay the same or is it going to round up? Okay, now, do you remember? No, we haven't done rounding yet. Okay. I want to round 17 to the nearest 10. So I'm going to underline my digit in the tens place. And I'm going to circle what we call the judge. The judge determines what happens to the digit in the tens place. Okay, since 7 is my judge, I'm going to make that a note up here. 7 is the judge. So we round up, okay? 17 would fall over here somewhere. Because 7 is greater than 5, it fits between here. Everybody with me? 7 is my judge, so I come to this side of my hill. Because it's greater than 5, then I have to round up. So 17 is going to round to what number? 20. Yes, 20. Okay, so here are some steps. We're going to break it down. My steps for rounding 6, how do I read that number right there?
692,486.
Beautiful. Okay, we want to round that to the nearest 10,000. So I want to make sure I'm rounding to the nearest 10,000. The steps to do that, underline the place. We just practiced that a second ago. We underline the place. What place am I rounding to? 10,000. I just boxed it because it was important information. So I'm going to underline the place. In this case, I'm underlining the 10,000s place. I'm going to circle the judge. So I'm going to underline. I'm going to go ahead and write my problem right here. I'm going to use a different color. So I'm going to copy my problem down. 692,486. And I'm going to underline the 10,000s place. Now, I want to circle the judge. Who's the judge? Is it to the left or to the right? It's the number. Look up here. Was it to the left or to the right? It was to the right. So I'm going to circle what number? Which number's to the right of the 9? 2. Okay. 2 is my judge. It is to the right of the digit that I'm rounding. I'm rounding the 9. The 9 is either going to go up or it's going to stay the same. Okay? Now, the rounding rule. If it's 5 or more, if this number, the judge, is 5 or more, what's going to happen to the 9? It'll go up, right? If this number right here, the 2, if the judge is 4 or less, the 9 will stay the same. It stays. And then you put zeros after, okay? So let's see. The judge is what number? Okay, so judge is 2, and 2 is less than 5. So 9 stays. So what does my number look like? The 6 doesn't change before the place that I'm rounding. So I have 6. What happens to this 9 here? What did we just say happens to it?
Goes up.
Did we say the 9 goes up?
Stays.
It stays. So it'll be a 9 And then look at step 4. It says put zeros after that place. So everything after becomes zeros. Okay, we have one last part here. Location. We can also compare location to place value. So if I'm talking about nearest tens, looking at all of these numbers, if I were to have them listed out just like I do, and I wanted to identify A and figure out what A is closest to, I could just look at where it's located. A is closest to
21.
20 or 30. Remember, it's nearest tens. So is it closer to 20 or 30? It's closer to 20 because of location. Okay, for B, is it closer to 20 or 30?
20.
Let's look. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4 away from 20, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away from 30. So which one is it closer to?
It's also less than 5. So.
It's closer to 20. Okay, what about C?
30.
Definitely closer to 30. And then the last one, D?
30.
Definitely closer to 30. Very good. Okay, now let's go to our estimation page real quick. So turn the page, look at estimation. Okay, some words that we might use for estimation could be best guess. We're going to write down these keywords. Things that you might see. These are key words that you might see that tell us to estimate. So words or phrases. The phrase best guess means that we're estimating. Approximate. If we see the word estimate, that's a giveaway. It's telling us to estimate. About, almost, friendly number. Has anybody ever heard that before? Pick a friendly number. What do I mean by a friendly number? Anybody know?
No.
A number that's easy to work with. Easy number. So instead of like 627, maybe I pick a friendly number like 630. Or maybe I just do 600. That's super friendly. Really easy to work with. Okay? Another phrase could be close to, if you want to find an answer close to. Now, when we're estimating, we never round a single digit number. Okay? That's a rule that we need to know. When we're estimating, don't round a single digit number. Anything greater than a single digit, so 2 digit or more, yes, you can estimate, you can round those to make them easier to work with. Okay, a couple things I want you to think about. One, is it reasonable? That's the biggest thing. Whenever we're estimating, you need to ask yourself, is it reasonable? What do I mean? Does anybody know what I mean by is it reasonable? What do you think?
Does it make sense?
Yeah, does it make sense? Perfect. Okay, so I have to scroll this up a little bit. I'm not trying to turn it, guys, sorry. I'm trying to zoom in. Yikes. Okay. So when I'm estimating, try and imagine like a baseball field, okay? I've got home down here. I come around to first, then second, and then third, okay? So we're gonna round first. I'm gonna make that note right here. This just helps me remember. It's like a visual to help me remember what to do when I'm trying to estimate numbers. I want to round first. We don't round at the very end. So that means I'm not going to solve the entire problem, get the exact answer, and then round it. No, I want to make my numbers easy to work with so I can just estimate an answer. So I have to round my numbers first. So when rounding, I can use benchmark numbers. Things like 25, 50, 75, 100. Why do you think these are numbers that I would write down? What do you think?
They're each 25 away.
They're each 25 away. What can you think about when you see those numbers?
Circling number? Quarters.
Kind of like quarters, money, right? So they're kind of easy benchmark numbers, okay? 25 we know is right between like the beginning of a number line, if I'm picturing it on a number line, and halfway. 75 is between halfway and then a whole, or 100, okay? So those are what we call benchmark numbers. When rounding, say for example 34, I might round 34 to 30, okay? I want to underline, when I'm rounding, I always underline the place. We just did this. So when I'm trying to make numbers friendly so that I can estimate a problem and estimate an answer, I want to round my numbers first, and I always underline the place. So if I underline the place, I would underline the 3. What about the judge? What do I do with the judge? Yep, I circle the judge. So in 34, what am I circling? 4. Now, do you remember my rule? Since 4 is less than 5, what happens to the 3? What happened to it? What do you see here? It stayed, right. And then everything after becomes a 0. Okay, what about 47? What would I underline in 47 if I'm rounding to the tens place? Kaylee. The 4. What do I circle? The 7. Now 7 is greater than 5, so what's going to happen to the 4? Is it going to go up or is it going to stay the same?
It's going to go up.
It's going to go up to 5 and everything after turns to a 0. Okay, the last one, I underline the 2. The judge is 1. 1 is way less than 5. So what happens to the 2? Does it stay the same or go up?
Stay the same.
Stays the same, and then everything after turns to a 0. Okay, we're almost done here. All right, what if I have these crazy numbers? Okay, I want to estimate the solution for this problem right here, okay? So do I want you to solve for it exactly? No, I don't want you to solve. If it says estimate the sum for 243, 190, and 532, I want you to round these numbers to make them easy to work with first, then add them, okay? So if I rounded each of these numbers, I could round 243 to 240 if I round to the nearest tens, right? Because I would be rounding this digit. If I round to the nearest hundreds, I would be rounding the 2. Would it go all the way down to 200? Or is it greater than half?
Greater than half.
And go up to 300? What would happen? Think about 243 on a number line between 200 and 300. Would it be closer to 200?
300.
Yeah, it would round down to 200, because what's halfway between 200 and 300? 250. Okay, very good. All right, what about 190? If I rounded 190 to the hundreds place, 190 is closer to 100 or 200?
200.
200, good. Okay, if I round to the tens place, remember I'm looking at the judge over here, it's 0. So if I want to round 190 to the tens place, what's going to happen? It just stays. It stays the exact same. So I have 190. It's already rounded to the tens place. I don't have a digit that is going to tell me what to do in the judge place there. Okay, what about 532? If I round it to the tens place, is it going to be 530 or 540?
530.
530. You guys are doing great. And then it would round all the way down to 500. Good. Okay, so now looking at this, we have much easier numbers to use so that we can solve this quicker, okay, and get an estimated sum. So if you're looking at this column, yeah, I could add this. I could then add 4 plus 9 plus 3 to get 16, carry my 1, and then add all that up to get 9. Or I can round to the hundredths place, and can you do that in your head?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I could say 243 plus 190 plus 532 is about how much? 900. Or I could round to the tens, which still might be a little quicker because my ones, I don't have to add anything, it's just 0. Then I add these together, that's 16, carry my 1. 1, 2, 1, that's 4 plus 5, 9, so 960. Are all of these reasonable answers?
Yes.
Ah, my thing's glitching.
Yes.
Yes, they're all reasonable. Look at the answer that I originally had here. 965. Okay, which one is the closest estimate? 960, but did it take us a little bit longer?
Yes.
Yeah, it did. If you were to estimate and you rounded to the nearest hundred because that's easier for you to do quicker, do you think I'm going to count you wrong if you estimated a 900 answer? No, I'm for sure not. I'm not going to count you wrong for that. I'm going to look for an answer somewhere between 900 and 1,000, okay, because I'm saying estimate it. So getting an exact is not really fair if I'm expecting you to give me an exact estimate because everybody estimates differently depending on how you round. Okay, last part. Says solve 619 plus 278. So we're going to break this down a little bit. 619 is approximately, do we want to round to the hundreds or the tens? What do y'all want to do? Tens. So we would do 620. And since I did this to the tens, I need to do the other one to the tens. Okay, so 278 is closer to 270 or 280? 280. Okay, well, this is fun. 620 and 280 are something that we call compatible numbers. That means they work really well together. They're compatible. They work so well together. So 620 plus 280 equals 900. Okay, you take the reason we're calling them compatible is because the ending 20 plus 80 makes 100. So it's easy. Then I can just add 600 plus 200 plus 100 to get 900. I'm kind of breaking it apart. Remember when we do our number talks and you all figure out how to break your numbers apart, figure out different ways? That's one way to do it, okay? So I take out this 20, take out this 80, that makes 100. Add 100 plus the 200 plus the 600, you get 900. So the sum of 619 and 278 is about how much? 900. Close to. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less. And then the last part is benchmark numbers. And on this, you are going to do, okay, remember at the top where I showed you my benchmark numbers right here, how they are divided into like quarters. You guys said that it's like a quarter in money. So doing the same thing down here. So 223 is closest to which benchmark number?
225.
Very good. And 173? 175. Now, is that easier to add up?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what do we know about 25 and 75 here, if you're thinking about money? If I wanted to add it, 25 and 75. It'd make 100, okay? So that's easy. I've got 100. These two right here make 100. And then, what do I have? This would be like 200 plus 100. So altogether I have about how much total? About 400. 1, 2, 3, 4. So benchmark numbers are kind of fun too because they help you a little bit there. Okay, I have a couple practice pages that you need to glue in. I'm going to let you do those with your table. I don't think it'll take you very long. We'll check it and then you'll get your practice that you'll get to start right after that. All right, we're doing this one first. This is rounding whole numbers. The one that says rounding whole numbers, it's less than 8. Okay, in the corner it has the number 8. Number 1 says there are 7,386 people that live in Grandma's town. Remember, if I write, you write. If I mark, you mark. If I work, you work. What is this number rounded to the nearest hundred? So 7,386. What is this number rounded to the nearest hundred? Which means I need to underline the hundreds and circle the judge. So Shepherd, the judge is greater than 5. What happens to the 3? It goes up. And then what happens after? Very good. They turn to zeros. So my answer should be
7,000 B.
B. Very good. Number 2. The town used 65,862 gallons of water to fill the swimming pool at the park. What is this number rounded to the nearest 1,000? So I'm going to copy this number down, and I'm going to underline the digit in the thousands place. What digit is in the thousands place? 5. What number is my judge? 8. Great job. Okay, it's bigger than 5, so what's going to happen to the digit that I underlined? It's going to go up, and everything turns to a 0. So my answer is C. Okay, last one for this one. There were 132,459 visitors to the Historic War Museum last year. What is this number rounded to the nearest 10,000? So 132,459. What digit is in the 10,000s place? 3. So what number is my judge?
2.
It's less than 5, so does the 3 stay the same or does it go up? Very good, and everything after becomes a 0. So my answer should be D. Don't be tricked. Okay, now flip over to the estimation practice page. It says Emma rounds 823 to the nearest 100 to estimate 3 times 823. So what would her estimate be?
2,400.
I have 823 rounded to the nearest 100. So if I round 823 to the nearest 100, that would be 800, right?
Yes.
And 800 times 3,
2,400.
yeah. What's 8 times 3? 24, right? So it's going to be 2,400. So it would be C. Okay, number 2 says Sophia collects 87 box tops and Noah collects twice as many. About how many box tops did Noah collect? Okay, so what could I do on this one? I could round 87 to what?
90.
Yeah, 87 could round to 90. twice as many means what? What does twice as many mean? Times 2, very good. So 90 times 2 equals 180. Do y'all see that answer somewhere?
Yes.
Right here, B. And then last but not least, Sebastian read 2 books last summer. One had 409 pages and the other had 298 pages. Estimate about how many pages Sebastian read last summer. So what could I round 409 to? 400. I like that number. What about 298? 300. If I write, you write. If I want to know about how many pages he read last summer, what would I do with these two numbers that I just rounded? Add them together, and I get 700. So my answer should be A. Okay. For the rest of class, you just have a quick rounding page. It's one-sided. If you don't finish it, it's homework. Okay. If you do finish it, highlight your name and put it in the Math 4 journal. Use your notes to help you if you want to. I don't think it'll take you very long. The first section is round to the nearest tens place. The second section is round to the nearest hundreds place, and then the thousands place, and we just have 2 columns at the bottom. So that is it. You guys have about 7 minutes in class to get as much done as you can. That way you don't really have much to do later tonight.